Welcome everybody to the Toyota Glanza. Fun fact, this is actually the first Toyota media car I have ever received for the channel, and to be very honest with you, it's not even a very bespoke Toyota. This is one of the cars that have come out from the Toyota and Maruti Suzuki collab. Maruti has the Baleno, Toyota has the Glanza. Let's see how this competent hatchback is. When you come to the looks of the Glanza, it will definitely remind you of the Baleno. The silhouette of the side, the roof, everything looks very much the same. But Toyota has made some key differences to make this car stand out. One of them is the design of the bumper, the lower intake. It looks really good. It's got sort of this faux carbon fiber touch to it, which is very unlike of a mass market hatchback, but it looks really good. You have some chrome elements around the fog lights and around the grille, which also extend onto the headlight. It's a very cool integration of the chrome. Not many cars can pull it off very well. The headlights are very much similar to the Baleno, but that's probably the only similarity in the front. I think this one looks better than its counterpart. Not many people might agree, but I personally have been looking at this car for a long time up close, and it's really grown on me. Toyota has really killed it with the design of the front. When you come to the side, the similarities become even more noticeable since the chassis is the same, right? So Toyota cannot go around messing and changing too much. But the side profile is very clean, very conventional hatchback, and it's got decent overhangs on the front and the rear. The wheelbase is where this car shines. You can totally see in the side profile the wheelbase is so long, which means it's very spacious for its occupants inside. For the facelift for the Glanza, they've also updated the wheel design, which I really like. It's a diamond cut design, and it definitely complements the whole design theme this car stands on. When you come to the rear of the Glanza, when you notice that the facelift has brought some new elements. So the taillights used to have only this part of the boot. With the facelift, they've also integrated some parts to the tailgate, which looks pretty cool as well. Since this is the Toyota counterpart, the badging has been mentioned as V. On the Marutis, they don't have it mentioned on the tailgate, but since this is the top of the line V, the lower variants are G, and since this is the V, you have lots of chrome around, so you have this massive thick chrome strip on the back, which also integrates the rear camera, which is actually very nicely integrated. It's very smooth and it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. You've got some reflectors and some cuts and creases, but otherwise it's a rather inoffensive design that stands out and pleases to many. Now inside the Glanza, and it's a lovely place to be. You know, they have made some very thoughtful additions for the update for the facelift. So there's a brand new screen, new AC controls, and overall the feel good factor is very high. You do not have leather seats, which I feel like in a hatchback of this price range you should, but this is fabric and it's the dual tone because it carries on with the whole theme. So you have the same color on the dash, you have the same color on the center parts of the seat, which can be very tricky to maintain. In fact, this very media car is already getting a little soiled in the beige part, so I can totally understand for a regular day-to-day owner it can be very painful to clean. The driving position can take some getting used to. It will take some hunting to find the ideal driving position, but once you do, it's really nice, very comfortable. The seats are very soft. You've got some very nice, bolstering on the side, which is fixed, but it's very soft. Again, it feels very much at home, and the Baleno has the same interior, the only difference being the Toyota logo, and some people do prefer this badge over the S badge, and it all comes down to personal preferences. I'm indifferent because the car is technically the same, but it just feels nice either way, irrespective of whatever badge is on the steering wheel. It is very much loaded to the gills, so you have wireless CarPlay in this big screen. You've got digital readouts for the temperature. You do have a very thorough MID screen, which is just usual. It's got all your torque, power, kilometers, trip A, to see how much fuel economy, the range over time, how much you've idled over time. It's just very thorough, and I personally like this. Is one of the better MIDs in the market. One party trick that this car has is that this has a heads-up display, which if you look at the screen from outside, it doesn't look very premium, but when you're driving, it's actually a very useful addition. So basically you have to turn the car on, put it into battery mode, and then just press the HUD button, keep it held. I'm now in the rear seat of the Glanza, and you can see space is really not an issue. I had a friend who had a Baleno in the previous generation with the pre-facelift, and I had sat a lot, and this feels just the same. All black interiors again with the mix of the beige in the middle of the seat and on the door pads. It brings a different vibe and it breaks the monotony of the black. Since this is the top of the line, the V, it has the tinted glasses, and when the sun shines you can actually see the slight green tint, which actually helps a lot in the harsh sunlight that India faces. You do have AC vents in the back, and you do have two charging ports, which is a type C and a type A port. You only have one type A port in the front. You have two cup holders in the front, and you have some storage on the door pockets which can accommodate a small to mid-sized bottle. You do not have a center armrest, so that's a bit of a downer. I think at this price range, center armrests are pretty much standard in all cars. The seats do fold, so they are a 60-40 split. So this is the 60, the one I'm sitting on is the 40. And yeah, otherwise the vibe is really good. Headroom is really good. I've got a lot of knee room. I have a lot of place to tuck in my feet. The center hump isn't that intrusive, so the third passenger can be accommodated for emergencies. What can I say? Toyota and Maruti have worked together perfectly to make this collab, and they know how. They both are the masters of packaging, and it really shows in this car. I'm now behind the wheel of the Glanza, so let's get the numbers out of the way. This has a 1.2 liter, the famed K12, but this is now the dual jet motor. So it produces 88.5 bhp at 113 Newton meters. This car weighs under a ton. If I'm not wrong, it's about 950 or 980 kilos, which is, let's be honest, extremely light for today's standards. So let's see how this car drives. So the car we have today is the manual transmission. This is also available with an AMT gearbox. The pre-facelift had a CVT, which is, let's be honest, way better than an AMT box. But once you set off, you do realize that low end torque is really cool. It's very easy. You don't actually have to rev this car a lot to get going or in city traffic. But if you do rev the car like I am now, this is pedal to metal, and you'll instantly feel that there is a very big flat spot in between, say, 2,500 rpm to 4,000 rpm, 4,500 rpm, which is sometimes the rev range that you see on day-to-day traffic driving. So I wish that this was solved, because the older K12 non-dual jet motors were actually super peppy. In fact, the whole game was in the mid-range, and now to have the mid-range so dead is actually a bit of a downer. This car is not meant for the enthusiast in you. It's perfect for the family member who is very calm, very laid back, has no urgency to get anywhere, and this car will deliver great fuel economy as well. I've been driving it in a lot of bumper to bumper traffic, and I have been driving on highways as well, and I've been getting a mixed, and the MID is showing, and I'm not sure how accurate the MID is, but it's been showing me 19.2 kmpl, which is immense, because I know what kind of traffic I was stuck in, and you know, Delhi roads can be infamous for traffic. So getting 19 kmpl on that kind of situation is truly commendable. The brakes are nice. The clutch is supremely light. Honestly, the clutch and the gearbox, the gear lever, it's so convenient, so easy to use. You can just play through the gears, and it's so smooth, so easy, so light. In fact, I had another automatic car at my disposal, yet I decided to choose this car for the drive that I just mentioned, that heavy traffic, because the clutch is so light. You really don't mind using the clutch and the gear through traffic. It's so easy. The bite point is so easy to manage, and it just starts moving with a very feathered touch of the throttle, which is so cool. What can I say? I mean, it just drives like how the Baleno did and the Glanza always did, and what they're always been famous for, which is convenience. And convenient this car is. I mean, even if I rev it, it's all sound, but honestly it doesn't pick up the speed as well, because of that flat spot mid-range that I've been talking about. The low end is good, so you don't have to rev it when you're moving. The top end is actually strong as well, but you hardly are there in the rev range. So either you choose to be there or you don't. So the best way to drive it is very sedately. Keep it between 1,500 to 2,500 rpm, and you'll be the happiest, because you'll be having decent amount of torque and enjoying good fuel economy. It rides really well as well. The seats are really soft, so it soaks all the bumps really well. I'm on a bad patch right now, and it just takes it up like a sport. Honestly, the suspension is pretty good. The handling is a bit floaty. You can definitely feel a lot of body roll in the chassis, and the stock tires, the Apollo Alnax, aren't the best also. The steering feel is also a bit on the vague side. It's supremely light, so that means you can actually maneuver this car very easily in tight traffic, in parking spots. It's extremely easy, but when you're enthusiastically driving it, you might want a bit more feedback, a bit more weight. Again, this car is not meant to be hustled around corners. It's meant to be driven economically, slowly, calmly, and for what it's built, it actually does its job really well. In conclusion then, the Toyota Glanza. Well, it has lots of things going for it. In fact, for a layman commuter car from point A to B, it's very difficult to beat this car if you're in the market for a hatchback. It's extremely spacious front and back. The boot is extremely spacious for your luggage. It's very fuel efficient. Honestly, it's one of the most fuel efficient cars I've driven in city limits or highway in a very long time. The Toyota Maruti Suzuki collab is definitely here to stay. They've launched a few cars and I'm sure there are many more in the pipeline. So you can be rest assured that this car will be definitely very easy to maintain, whether you take it to a Maruti service station or a Toyota one in this case. At 9.7 lakhs ex-showroom for this V manual. So there is the V AMT as well, which is slightly more expensive. I think that is 10 lakhs ex-showroom. This one is 9.7. It's a very good car and a very difficult proposition to delay in your household. Honestly, for people elderly, for young, it just fits the bill because it's so stylish yet practical and easy to drive. What else do you really need in a car these days? And this is one that ticks all the check boxes. I mean, if you are one that needs something that's really fast and really fun to drive, then this is not for you. But otherwise, you really don't need to look elsewhere.